Welcome to En-tom-ica.
There it is. All right, so my name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those who don't know, we're all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. We're really excited today because we have a first-time group joining us, which we'll introduce them in just a minute. Right now, though, I'll go through the four classes we have from across North America. So right now, we have Miss Collins, grade 3s from Burlington in Washington.
Getting loud.
Hi, guys. All right, very in unison. I like it. We have Miss Holden's grade 2 from Spruce Grove in Alberta.
Wait.
Hi, guys. Nice. All right, we have Miss Beggerly's grade 3s from St. Paul in Minnesota. Hi. And just joining us like 2 seconds ago, we have Mr. Richards from Amherst View in Ontario. Hi, guys. The oldest group of all. Nice mix. Okay, and we might be getting two more as the hangout goes on, so hang with me if we do. Of course, the reason you guys are all here today is for our speakers. So we're joined live in Sault Ste. Marie by En-tom-ica, insectarian that's been open since 2014, sharing a love of insects with everybody. We just had our 5th class join us too. So without further ado, you guys love bugs. We're going to turn it over to Michael at En-tom-ica, a bug wrangler there, and he's going to showcase all the amazing stuff that they have. So thank you so much for joining us, Michael, and take it away.
Thank you, sir. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to En-tom-ica today. We're going to give you guys a little tour of I can't show you everything we have today, unfortunately, but we'll give you guys plenty of time for questions and answers after our tour. So without further ado, here's your tour guide, Max, for today.
Good day, folks. And today we have a customer who came in, and so you'll be able to live vicariously through our tour here at En-tom-ica.
Thanks, guys.
So are you ready for the fascinating world of bugs?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start off with our first insect here. Can you spot it? Our vivarium.
Oh, I think we can there, Max.
So, this is a Malaysian deadleaf mantis. Would you like to hold it, Caitlin?
Of course.
So, mantises have devised many disguises to camouflage themselves. Some look like flowers, and others like blades of grass. This one looks like a fallen leaf. It hunts on the forest floor and waits patiently for prey to come by. And when it comes within striking range, faster than the blink of an eye, its claws come out and it grabs its prey. And once you're locked into those arms, there is no escape. It's dinner time.
Awesome.
Those big eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mantises have extremely large eyes, and that's because they have some of the best vision of the insect world. Some studies show that they can see up to 20 meters, which is incredible for the size of this insect. That would be comparable to us having binoculars all the time.
Where do they live, Max?
So this one comes from Malaysia, but mantises are found all over the world. We do not have a native species here in Canada, but there are native species in the United States.
Cool.
This is one of my favorite bugs just because of the incredible adaptations they have developed and their capacity to camouflage and their sheer ability to take down prey, sometimes even bigger than themselves.
Is this the only predator insect we'll be seeing today?
I believe so, but we have another surprise, which is another predator part of the arachnid family.
Ooh.
That will certainly amaze our spectators today.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so let's put back our little praying mantis here. So her name is Bella. You can see just because she's just so gorgeous. Look at that. Okay.
Bye, Bella.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. Okay, let's go here. So, our next critter is not an insect per se. It's a gastropod. And
Ew.
they are huge. All right. Would you like to hold it? Don't worry, it's just a little bit slimy. Oh, we'll put it this way so they can see. So, this is a giant African land snail. And it's a little shy right now, but one eye is coming out right here to say hello. Oh. And oh, it's starting to warm up to you, Caitlin. Here's another eye that's coming out. And then we have
cool.
2 little tentacles here for tasting. So, this is actually one of our most dangerous critters here.
Is that another eye?
Nope, that's a tentacle for tasting right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have 2 on the bottom. It looks like a big nose, and then there's a little tentacle here for tasting. And then there's the eye on top, so 1 and 2 eyes here. And like I was saying, this is actually one of our most dangerous critters here. Not because it can bite you,
Good.
but because it is considered one of the most invasive species in the world. And so it has caused many problems in Florida, in Asia, and in other places in the world. So we gotta make sure we have tight security for this fella here.
Now we can see how large it is. How heavy is it?
Well, I'd say like a good 2 or 3 pounds.
Couple pounds.
Yeah.
A kilogram, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And do they change shells, Max, as they get bigger?
No, they're not like hermit crabs. So they actually have the same shell their whole life, and they just keep growing it. They add segments, and this is the active growth zone right here. And to grow their strong shell, they need calcium. And sometimes this calcium is supplemented through eating concrete. So they have been known to attack the foundations of house in order to supplement their calcium and grow their shell.
We better not let them escape.
Yeah. They could eat our flooring.
Very cool.
Yeah, nice.
It's kind of cute.
And how do they reproduce?
It is super cute. Well, snail business is quite interesting. You see, they're hermaphrodite, and so they can choose to identify as the sex of their choice. So typically, the larger snail will choose to identify as a female, and she'll be the receiver, and the male will donate his sperm. And that's how they decide who takes who. Normally, the bigger one is the girl because she needs more room to produce the eggs, and it's there's more energetic demand. Hence, needing a bigger body to supply this energy and room.
Does it have a name?
Yeah, this is Gary.
Gary.
Yeah, can everybody say hello, Gary?
Hi, Gary.
Awesome. Thanks for showing me, Gary. Ew.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, can we get a slimy high five? Yeah. All right. Next. Next we have a very cool bug. Can you see it stretching out its arms?
Yep. Just on the right side of the tank there.
Yeah, it is very well camouflaged. So, these are called Australian prickly sticks, or sometimes they're called Maclay spectres. They come from Australia, and they look like dried up eucalyptus leaves, which happens to be their favorite food. So they like to hang out in the same trees as koalas. But it's very important for them to not look like a juicy eucalyptus leaf, but rather a dried up leaf, so that a koala doesn't mistake them for a source of food. And as you notice, they sway from left to right, and have been described as excellent dancers. They are quite responsive to heavy bass music, and to wind movement as well. And so this is an adaptation to blend themselves as a leaf in the wind. And you can see how it walks. It really sways left and right and moves very, very slowly to imitate leaf movement.
How does it feel, Caitlin?
It tickles a little.
Is it as prickly as it looks?
It doesn't feel so prickly as he's crawling over me, but I'm a little nervous about touching his back.
Oh, don't be nervous. Give it a try.
Yeah, give it a try. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why
I
is he
think she
curling
likes
his
that.
tail like that?
So these insects have a very interesting mode of defense. They are herbivores. They're not very aggressive. They only eat leaves, and they rely heavily on their camouflage. But when startled, they will try to intimidate predators by curling their abdomen up and looking mean like a scorpion.
Oh, that's clever.
But they are totally harmless.
Are there scorpions that are about their same size that live where they are? Are they mimicking a particular species? Do you know?
Yes, I don't know the particular species, but there are certainly scorpions where they live in their environment. And other stick bugs. So the Australian prickly stick is part of the stick bug family, and it seems to be a character that many stick bugs exhibit.
One general question. Earlier, when you held the first insect, the mantis, you mentioned insects and arachnids. So for the students, what's a really easy way to tell insects apart from arachnids?
Oh, that is an excellent question. So, to be an insect, you have to have 2 antennas, 6 legs, and normally 4 wings. Arachnids don't have antennas, and they have 8 legs, and they have something called pedipalps in the front of their head.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And what's that stick insect's name?
This one here is named Sarah. She was named by a young volunteer for the resemblance to her sister. I don't know if it's a compliment or an insult. Okay, we'll move on over to the next bug. Yeah.
Doesn't want to go back in.
I think Sarah's fond of you, Caitlin.
A friend for life.
Here you go, girl. Here you go.
Bye, Sarah. Bye, Sarah.
Okay. Oh. So next up, we have Sarah's cousin here. And this is actually very, very cool. She is laying an egg right now. So you can see how she has her ovipositor, which is the egg-laying thingy. This thing right here. She's digging this in the moss. She's wiggling her butt and trying to find the sweetest, bestest spot to lay her egg. And she happens to have her little baby daughter right here on her shoulders. Isn't that cute? So this here is a jungle nymph. I don't know if you guys know what a nymph is, but it's like a mystical forest fairy. And so scientists compare this to the mystical jungle fairy. So I don't think we're going to take her out because she's busy right now laying her egg. But you can appreciate the sheer size of this bug. It's about the size of my hand. Oop. And this bug here is laying an egg, and she happens to lay the largest egg of all the known insects. And that egg is about the size of a jelly bean.
Wow. Can you tell us a little more maybe about why her daughter would be on her shoulder like that? That's very interesting that they would stay together.
They often you see them hanging out together. Sometimes in our vivarium, you'll see the mom hanging from a branch, and then the daughter will hang on her belly, and then the father will hang on her back. Why do they do this? I'm not particularly sure. I think it must be like a protective instinct of the mother.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
And right here we have a tray of eggs here, and one jungle nymph is hatching right now. These eggs kind of look like rabbit poop, but when you take a closer look, it actually mimics perfectly the seed from a tree. And we can see the young baby being born right now. This looks like a baby boy coming out of its egg.
How can you tell, boy versus girl?
The girls have a bit of a larger abdomen. It's a bit hard for me to tell right now. I assume it's a boy, but I'll only be able to 100% confirm once it has fully emerged, because I'll be able to see if it has the ovipositor, so if it has the egg-laying device on it.
Yeah. Now, that's a lot of eggs you guys have. How long did it take that female to produce that many eggs?
Well, we have many jungle nymphs.
Okay.
But to obtain this collection, we've obtained this over the course of several months.
Wow.
So a jungle nymph in general will lay about 4 eggs in a week, but they can sometimes lay multiple eggs in a day as well. Oh, and here, it's almost out. Oh, it's coming out. It's incredible how big this thing is coming out of this egg. You can see for size comparison, the eggs beside it, how big it is. Oh, and it's almost out.
Really wants out of there.
Okay. Can everybody greet our new friend? Welcome to Entomica.
Oh, we gotta name him.
Yeah. Does anybody have a name suggestion for our new member of the family?
Ooh, like so many hands just shot up. Okay, at the end, how about when we do questions, we'll get all the classes to submit an idea for the name, okay? And you guys can pick there. That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So it's still gonna take a bit of time. We're gonna skip to the next bug, but we'll come back and we'll get a positive ID by the end of the tour to confirm if it is a male or it's out.
Yay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the world.
Oh, it's still having a bit of trouble with its foot here.
Push.
No, let nature do it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna pull her foot out. I'm just trying to look at her abdomen here. So it looks like a girl, So if anybody has a great girl name suggestion, we would happily name her after it.
Awesome.
And how long would it have taken this egg to hatch?
Oh, and so to hatch, these eggs take approximately 6 months to a year to hatch.
Okay. Wow. So lucky us. What are the chances?
Yeah, it's great timing. It was meant to be.
All right. Well, we'll come back for naming. What's your next insect that we can go to, or arachnid, either one?
Okay, so our next one is going to be. How are we doing on time, by the way?
We could probably do 2 more creatures.
2 more creatures. Okay, let's skip leaf bug.
Okay, next time.
Next time, leaf bug.
If we have enough time, we'll go. So many choices. Okay, so here we have leaf bugs, and up here, this is Phyllis. This is Phyllis, the Phyllium from the Philippines. Can everybody say hi, Phyllis?
Hi, Phyllis.
Look, she's waving to everybody. So this is Phyllis, and this is her boyfriend up here.
Is his name Phil?
Yes, his name is Phil. Yeah.
How could I have guessed?
I don't know. You have great intuition, I must say.
Yeah.
So these leaf bugs come from the Philippines, and they are excellent at disguising themselves. They look like guava leaves, and that is their favorite food. And these bugs are nocturnal, so during the day they don't move. They blend in as a bug, as a leaf, and once the sun sets, they become a little bit more active and feed on guava. You can notice how the girl is much larger than the male. So in the insect world, it's very common for the male to be much smaller, to be more mobile, but they also typically are less strong, live less long, and are typically sort of disposable. So the male has very long antenna, and that enables them to pick up chemicals from his mates. And then his wings enables them to fly and go meet up with his girlfriend here.
So that's a very good point too. You mentioned chemicals. I mean, if you blend in with leaves, it must be very hard to see. So that, can you explain how they advertise where they are? That insects do that a lot?
Yeah, so insects have different means of communicating. One that we're a bit more familiar with is sound production. So for example, crickets will make sound. The other methods are, for example, signaling with wings or patterns. But what's more widely used is pheromones. So insects and many animals have these, and humans have some a little bit as well. They secrete these chemicals that are picked up, even in small quantities. These insects can pick up pheromones, and that will give a signal for either mating or other purposes.
Excellent.
And these chemicals are extremely powerful. You only need a minute quantity to attract insects.
Very cool. Very fast moving, that one too.
Yeah, very active. They normally move actually a little bit slower.
But they like me.
But yeah, they like Caitlin. Okay, let's try to. We're gonna try to squeeze 2 more in because we have some really cool insects, and we want you guys to have the chance to view these awesome critters.
Okay.
So we'll skip to the next one quick. So this here is Frankie. And Frankie is like a huge grasshopper.
Wow.
Hi, Frankie.
So she's a giant Katydid. And we can tell you she's a girl because she has this thing. Who can remember what this thing is?
Put up your hand if you can remember, guys. Let's see, and we can ask later. 'Cause I know you're all muted. If you can remember, guys. Let's see, and we can ask later. 'Cause I know you're all muted right now.
So that's the OV. Oh, so okay. So Frankie here is a giant Katydid, but unlike its relatives, the grasshopper relatives, it doesn't live in the grass. It lives high up in the trees, and it loves to hop from tree to tree in search of fruit. And Frankie's nocturnal, and although she has these eyes, she doesn't see well. That's why she has these long antennas to touch and feel around to find food. And she also likes to use her legs as a sort of a blind cane to touch and feel around.
Yeah.
You can see how it blends in like a leaf, and you can even see the venation of the leaf. It's really incredible for its camouflage.
Where would we find these?
So these come from Southeast Asia,
Long way from home.
but we do have species of Katydid in Canada. They're just much smaller.
I'm curious, you mentioned a lot of locations for your insects. Do you guys have insects and arachnids from every continent? Or, I mean, not Antarctica, but the rest?
I think we do.
Okay.
Most of our bugs come from Indonesia, Southeast Asia kind of region, but we do have bugs from every continent.
Awesome. All right.
Okay. Now let's move to our last one, and then if we have enough time, we'll view some more specimens.
Lovely. What could be the showstopper to end off the presentation, I wonder? Dun dun dun.
So our last critter is Rosie, and Rosie is one of our superstars. She is very sweet and lovely. Oh, let go, Frankie. Oh. Okay, so let's go see Rosie.
No Rosie there.
Where could Rosie be?
Oh.
Oh, there she is. Wow. So, would you like to hold Rosie, Caitlin?
I would love to. She looks so sweet.
Rosie is like a 8-legged teddy bear. She is so soft. It's incredible. So, she is a Chilean rose-haired tarantula. And she has been with us since the start of Entomica. So you can notice her beautiful pink highlights here.
She's covered in so much hair. Could you tell us a little bit about that? That's really interesting.
Yeah, so tarantulas are very hairy, and for a good reason. First of all, they have 8 eyes, but they don't see very well. They see the world a little bit differently. They see through vibrations, and these hairs are extremely sensitive. They pick up the smallest vibrations, so they'll pick up sound, trembling of the earth, a slight flutter of a wing of an insect. So, for example, if a cricket is walking on the ground, these hairs here on her legs that are touching the ground will pick up the vibrations of the cricket walking and will inform her that there's potential prey that is approaching. Same thing if a bug flies in the air, the flicker of the wings of a flying insect will be enough to for her to detect them. And I can show you, if I just blow on her very lightly, it will startle her a little bit. That's because she's so sensitive to wind movement. Secondly, tarantulas have, especially the New World tarantulas, they have something called urticating hairs. And they're kind of like porcupine quills or fiberglass. And they can fling those urticating hairs at predators that are attacking them. So what they do is, it looks kind of like a dog scratching itself with its hind leg. So they'll take their back leg and they'll fling hairs off their abdomen into the eyes or into the mouth of the predator attacking them. And that can cause severe irritation and discomfort. So Rosie is really nice, but we have another tarantula that we don't handle for this reason. It has a tendency to flick hairs at us and has caused rashes to one of our employees in the past.
Okay. Now, you mentioned with arachnids earlier that they have the 8 legs and then the pedipalps. I mean, we can see them really good. If you could...
So it kind of looks like Rosie has 10 legs, but these 2 legs in the front aren't legs. They're called pedipalps, and they're actually mouth extensions. And they use that for catching food, bringing food to the mouth, and they also use that for signaling. Tarantulas, and you guys have to check this out on YouTube, they have really cool mating rituals where they'll use their pedipalps here and they'll move them all around in a very sophisticated dance to signal that they want to mate.
I can probably find a link for that for the classes at the end, so I'll send that your way because it absolutely is. It's extraordinarily beautiful, so you should really check that out.
Yeah. Rosie also has, right here on the backside, she has 2 little butt fingers. And those are called spinnerets. And that's where her silk comes out from. And we can sometimes pull a little bit of silk from her. Oh, I don't know if you can see this silk strand. It's very hard to see. It's very fine. Yeah. We'll try another one here. It's very fine, very hard to see. But she doesn't make a web to catch bugs. She makes a web to have a comfortable bed to sleep on. So she's an active hunter. She won't weave a web and wait for prey to fall into the web. She just makes her web to sleep on.
Wonderful. All right. Well, guys, what we can do now is while Rosie's out, because it's always nice to be looking at a tarantula, I can open the floor to questions, and then people can pass you along things, and if you need to put her away during that time, that would work. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, that was awesome. What a great presentation. Let's go to some classes and see if we can pass along some questions. And there's some groups watching on live on YouTube as well. So if you guys want to pass on questions as well, I can pass them on. But first, we'll go to Miss Collins' class. If you guys have a question, any kid can come up and ask, yeah.
Eva has a question. Eva, what's your question?
What do they eat?
What do they eat?
Rosie?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rosie will take down whatever she can take down, but normally her diet consists of small arthropods. So she'll eat, for example, crickets, small bugs that roam on the ground. That's her main diet.
Excellent. All right, and for the questions too, just so every class know, you can ask questions about the whole bug zoo, any of the insects we saw, anything you want to know about things in the undergrowth. All right, we'll go back to Miss Holden's class. You guys have a question? Yeah?
Do you guys have a black widow?
No, we do not carry a black widow. However, if you do have a specimen, we would gladly take it into our insectarium and take great care of it.
So that's interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about black widows, why that would be interesting, why someone would want to know?
Well, it would be just great to have, just for ID purposes, first of all. A lot of people sometimes misidentify black widow, and it would be great to have a specimen just to show people. Second of all, black widows are not as dangerous as they are put out to be. And so it would be great just to be able to show people and sort of break down fear barriers.
Excellent. Just like you guys are doing with Rosie right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to Miss Beggarly's class. You guys have a question.
Why do you guys have to study about insects?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Why do you guys study insects?
Oh, why not study insects? So, a lot of people have the conception that humans rule the world, but that is just frankly not true. Bugs are really the true organisms that rule the world. Without them, we could not live life as we do currently. And so by studying bugs, we study how the world works and how to make it a better place. Bugs have developed so many strategies to live and so many techniques to get things done that if we study them, we can actually improve our own lives. They already have many solutions to our problems.
Well, for instance, you talked about spider silk and what an amazing material it is.
Spider silk is one of the best materials. Our steel is nothing comparable to spider silk. And some people right now are actually trying to raise spiders to do spider silk clothing.
Soon coming to a store near you.
Yeah. And just the sheer strategies they've developed is just incredible and is very inspiring to us.
So it's worth thinking this too. I mean, not just in terms of total numbers, but if you take all the mammals in the world, all the apes, monkeys, deer, rats, all of it, it's about 6,000 species, and there's about 2 million types of insects and arachnids in the world, if not more. And so there's way more diversity.
Yeah, and each day more are being discovered. I think the last figures was it depends on which entomologist you ask, but some entomologists estimate there's over 30 million different species.
So that's a lesson for the kids too in the class. If you guys go into jungles still, if you go at any habitat in the world and you look, you will find new kinds of insect that have never been seen in the history of the world before, never been described. So that's something you can do as a scientist.
Yeah,
all right.
Just one of my teachers at the college discovered a new species of wasp about 30 years ago, and he named it the Zuklinski wasp. So if you want to get into entomology, you can actually leave your name somewhere by discovering a new bug and naming it after yourself.
Very cool. All right, let's go to Mr. Richards' class. You guys have a question? Come on up. Yep, you're good.
Oh, she's muted.
Yeah, you're mute. I don't know why. Everything looks good. It should work, but it's not. So we can come back to you guys in a second. Worst case scenario, in the top left of your screen, there's a little chat bar, a little blue square. If you click that, you can type your question, and I'll pass it on. I don't know why it's not working, but we can try and fix that in a minute, okay? In the meantime, we'll go to the Outdoor Club, Miss Harrison's group. You guys just have to demute your own mic. So come on up to the front, little microphone symbol top of your screen. And then take your time, don't run, all good. And then you can ask a question. Yep, you're good.
So we were wondering, what's your most deadliest animal that you have there?
The deadliest animal. That's a good question. So most of the animals we have here can be handled by people. Because we're very strong on interaction. So we don't really carry anything that's very dangerous. We do have a colony of assassin bugs. And assassin bugs are great predators. They have sort of a syringe type mouth part. And they'll hunt down insect. They'll tackle them down. Then they'll inject them with digestive enzymes and venom. And that will kill the insect, turn it into a bug slurry, and then they'll suck it up with their needle mouth part and leave the exoskeleton there as a carcass, as a trophy of their kill. And so these bugs can inflict a sting that's comparable to about 4 or 5 times that of a bee sting. And that would be the most dangerous bug that we have here.
That was the most over-the-top, passionate description of an animal eating another animal we've ever heard in Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, so thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
They're awesome. All right. I'm going to pass along a question from a class online. So Mrs. Gasley's class, grade 5-6s, have to ask, we're wondering how invasive species are spread and how they're dealt with. Which is very broad.
So that is an excellent question. So invasive species are spread by many means. It depends on the species. So there's no real limit to what an invasive species is. So some are plants, some are insects, some are animals. And so they spread by different means. Plants are spread sometimes just through horticulture. So currently in Canada, people can buy many invasive species just at their local nursery, and they should be illegal, but they're currently in the framework of changing the legislation for these plants. But unfortunately, they are still available just at the store, and so they spread this way. Sometimes insects are spread through shipping containers, for example, or through release in the wild by amateurs. Sometimes invasive species are released by people, not on purpose, but by accident. Sometimes they're released also, like aquatic invasive species are released, for example, by used ship ballast water. So it really varies. There's many means of distribution, and that's what makes invasive species control very difficult. Yeah. Now, there's many methods to control invasive species. Some include chemical treatment. Others involve biocontrol, so bringing in another species to take care of the invasive species, but this has been known to cause other problems. There's also mechanical ways when we talk about plant species. Sometimes they're just mowed down or burnt down. So there's various ways. Some of the most creative methods of control include the Asian Carp Fish Derby. You guys should check it out on YouTube. So they actually have a tournament where they go down in boats with baseball bats and nets, and they catch Asian carps, and which is a very invasive species that has great invasive potential for the Great Lakes. And once they catch them, they turn them into fish cakes sometimes. And my campaign for the giant African land snail would be the same. It would be a big boiler campaign where we would go with our basket, pick African land snails where they are invasive, and then we would have a big feast at the end of the day.
Eat some garlic and
nutritious and delicious. Yeah. So for the classes too, if you guys want to learn more about invasive species, we do other hangouts that specifically focus on that. One quick note before I pass on Mr. Richard's class question, I completely forgot. So the classes, if you guys want to submit to me a name option for that nymph, you can come up with it as a class. The baby nymph that was born today, we'll pass them all on to Entomica, and then if you guys are willing to choose one of those names, that would be amazing. And we can do that by the end of the hangout. So if you guys want to send that to me, awesome.
Okay. So just to be fair, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take every name and we're gonna put it in a sort of like a random generator so that it picks for us.
Cool. All right.
So it will be strictly strictly unbiased decision.
Okay. The question from Mr. Richard's class, and I'm sorry the mic isn't working, guys, is how long did it take to gather the collection that you have?
Oh, so that's a great question. So the collection we've accumulated through the years. So some colonies we've established. So it's taken us 4 years about to accumulate what we have so far.
Excellent. All right. Do you guys have time for 3 more questions?
Yes, we do.
You do? Cool. Okay, let's go back to Miss Collins' class. You guys have a question?
You guys have a question? Yeah. Any other animal? Yes, Dario. Any of the animals? That'd be quick.
Hurry, they're waiting.
Hold on. How long does the African snail live?
Good question.
Oh, so they are known to live sometimes up to 10 years, which is amazing. And they have the capacity to seal themselves up in their shell, sometimes up to 3 years.
Excellent. All right. Great question. Let's go to Miss Holden's class. If you guys have a second.
How many bugs do you have there?
How many bugs?
How many species or how many
Both.
bugs?
Both. Tell us both.
Okay, well, bugs in total, we have certainly over 1,000 bugs. And for species-wise, I think we have somewhere around 25 or 30 species.
Excellent. All right, these are quick. We're whipping through them, guys. So, Mr. Richards, if you guys want to pass on a second question online, please do that. For now, we'll quickly go to Miss Beggarly's class. These are whipping along.
Clear. Ask question.
How do the bugs get there?
How do the bugs
Get there.
Get there?
get fed?
Or
Get-
fed.
How do the bugs get to your museum?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So there's different means. For example, Rosie here, she was donated to us. So we do receive sometimes bugs that are just donated to us. The other means is by UPS or by shipment. So we get them in a crate, and it's like Christmas for us. We open the box, and there's a bunch of bugs in it, and it's great.
Excellent. And you get them from suppliers in Southeast Asia? Are there people that collect bugs there that send them to you? Yes? Okay.
Yes, so we sometimes we're lucky, and science centers will help us and supply us some bugs. Other times we order bugs from licensed distributors. So we don't have bugs that come from the wild. We get them from organizations that are specialized in raising bugs for educative and entertainment purposes. They're not harvested from the wild and brought in because we promote conservation.
Excellent. All right. Let's go back really quick to the group, the Outdoor Clubs, Miss Harrison's group. If you guys want to come up and demute your mic for a second question, go right ahead. Yep, good.
How long have you been studying insects for?
Well, all my life I've been studying insects. When I was young, I'd actually hang out with my neighbor, and we would walk around the neighborhood, and we would put bugs in Ziplocs and have little bug wars. But my study of bugs came about more seriously when I was in college and took an entomology course and visited Entomica. And right from there, it just escalated, and here I am.
Excellent. All right, there's one more question from a class, and then I'm going to pass along a last one. So the last question for Mr. Richards' class is, are there any regulations that restrict the type of bugs you can bring in?
Oh, yes, there is. So most of our bugs actually necessitate permits. And they necessitate also a quarantine area. So our lab has been certified by the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. And to move our bugs, we actually have to give notification. And there's only certain types of bugs we can import, and we need to have the permit to import those.
Marvelous. All right, so the one question I wanted to make sure that we cover today for all the classes is, if you're a kid in one of these classes and you want to explore the wide world of bugs, maybe you can't make it to an insectarium, maybe you don't have one in your town, what can you do?
Oh, so we're lucky with the internet now. There's great resources everywhere. One of my favorite things is actually Bug Wars. You guys should check it out. It's super cool. They just feature bugs that eat each other. But there's also other great sources. The BBC has, for example, a documentary called Life in the Undergrowth, and it brings you through the life of many bugs. There's so many resources available nowadays, and so many people are doing documentaries, and there's access to great literature from the scientific community online, and many books have been developed. So it's almost frightening how much information there is and to sift through it. But yeah, just go through it, have fun, and explore.
Yeah.
And make sure you also come visit Entomica.
Yes.
So we can also come visit you guys, so we can go all throughout Canada. And we are located right here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada.
Excellent. For the classes too, do go outside, like check your backyard. So I'm more of a general biologist, but when I was a kid, I went in my backyard and there were 73 different kinds of insects I counted in 2 hours. So you can see all sorts of neat stuff there. And yeah, excellent, guys.
Yeah, totally. The backyard is a great place to start.
Cool. What we do at the end of every hangout, and so I have already said we're starting to get names, suggestions. I'm going to pass them to you when we're done. What we do at the end of every hangout, guys, is I'm going to demute everyone's microphone. So Miss Collins' class, Miss Holden, Miss Beggerly, Mr. Richards, Miss Harrison, if you guys could join me in saying a big thank you to Entomica. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, you guys are great. It was our pleasure to show you our bugs today.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, great presentation, guys. We look forward to having you back. And again, everything they said, great resources to learn more. I'll also send that video of pedipalp's tarantula mating habits so you can see how cool that is. And we look forward to your names soon, guys.